All right,
All
Carrie.
right, gentlemen, are you ready for this question? You might have to buckle your seatbelts. We've got a lot going on. So we're
Yep.
going to combine 3 questions, but it's all asking essentially very similar things about building sites and the complications and what you need to look for. So these 3 questions come from several of our folks here tonight. And the first piece is, are there any space requirements for building near a shoreline? Specifically, aside from local codes, are there any recommendations on how far away from the embankment to plan a home? Are there any restrictions that includes basements? And then we have 2 other questions that are very similar that talk about, can we build on a sloped terrain or on the side of a hill? And what are the requirements for land, or the challenges that you run into with land sites? So just building in unique or challenging terrains, what are some challenges? What are your recommendations?
So we've got a river, creek really, that flows around all of our project here. But we also have built on sides of a mountain. I've got some photos here, and there is an architect in Los Angeles, actually in Malibu, that I met. He's designed 3 of our domes. This one is not one of them. That's okay. Let's work with this slide you have up here. This dome is in Sedona. This is one of our designs. This is our dome. They blasted out about a 20 to 25 foot flat area out of the side of a rock mountain. That was I think, $30,000 project. But then the other part of it is on these concrete piers. So you can create your own site. A similar thing was done in Kentucky, in a park, in a mountain area. So terrain presents its own set of problems. Part of it is, how do you get equipment to that site? Well, there was one little driveway coming in, and that's it. Go to the next slide, Carrie, the next photo in the sequence that we have. There you can see all along on that downhill slope, some of those piers, or concrete piers, steel reinforced concrete piers. Some of those are all of about 16 feet high. The ones that are very off on the middle right or the middle left there. So yeah, it can be accomplished. This site was, to most people looking at it, called an unbuildable site. They came along and said, what do we need to do to make it buildable? Well, you need a little shelf to build part of that on. So you blast it out. There's a cost. I mean, this site probably went very cheap because it's so hard to build on. That's what you're going to find. Go to the next slide. This is the ultimate. This is a design done by an architect, Harry Gessner. He's out of Malibu. He's still working and still dealing with everything. I just looked him up again today. He's 95. He's actually remodeling. He's doing design work on remodeling some of his houses and updating them. But this is called a chemisphere. He's got his own name for this thing. It sits on a pedestal. It's hard to see, but on the right-hand side, you can see a little walkway, a little ramp coming up to this main floor. It's a 1-floor house, basically. This is the Hollywood Hills. This is Los Angeles with its earthquakes. So this is designed, this was built way back in the late 50s, early 60s. Go to the next one. This is another one of Harry's designs. And you can see there's a couple of real big, strong pilings that are holding this thing up. The stairway is sort of suspended there. It's attached on the end, and it's, you know, so here's another way. Look at the steep hillside. You can see the tennis courts down below, this house is down below. Go to the next slide. These I ran into, I worked in Los Angeles for an architect for a few years. And this would be late 60s. These houses were built, designed by Harry Gessner and built in 59. And as the note says, one is currently available for $920,000. That's the LA for you.
Right.
These were built in Norway by shipbuilders and shipbuilders. Look at the pilings, look at the bracing. So move on to the next slide. This is the street side, but look just over the side of that parking area. You're parking on midair. So the site, again, this unbuildable site, you do something like this. Is there one more slide? I think there's a couple more. That's another one of Harry's houses. Again, a steep slope. You can see it's got terraced down there. It's a swimming pool in front of the house. Unusual structural system to hold it up. Go to the next one. This is, you're looking at, on the very left is my old house that we built in 1975, the Dome House. And you see that protrusion in the middle of your screen is my office. It's cantilevered out over the hillside. It's attached to the dome you see in back of it. That's a 36-foot high profile dome. But we ran into problems. There was a big, giant oak tree on the one side and we couldn't go far enough over. So I just said, well, I need this space over here. So we cantilevered my office. Go to the next slide. You'll see the slope that we have. There's a creek down there on the right, and it's usually open water. It's during the winter time. That's a 30-foot drop. So we cantilevered out and got an extra 7-8 feet. You can see the wall in back of that office, or underneath, I should say, on the lower level. There's a lower level on this thing. So that's how we can take care of steep slopes. Yes, the question was, can you build shoreline issues and stuff? Yeah. This property, or let's say this area that we're in, has a code that says if the bluff line is 30 feet or more, you got to build 30 feet back. We brought our surveyor out here and we showed them the bluff line was 28 feet down to the river. So we could build right on the bluff, which we did. You know, so gorgeous view, you know, I mean, it's an unusual thing. That little deck you see coming off the office is built there to clean the windows on the outside. That's all it's used for.
Right.
Okay.
You know, Dennis, I mean, not to prolong this too much because we do have a lot of questions, but I know you did mention earlier when we were talking about this particular question that, because one aspect is about basements and stuff. So I think to address that, really, it kind of depends on, you know, is your basement going to be below possibly the level of the stream or river that you're building next to, or the lake or something? Where maybe, because like in your case, I think you were saying when you built the forest dome over here, that there was a clay layer that part of the moisture wanted to go through that was kind of by the basement. So I think there are definitely considerations, and it's really probably going to be more site specific. Everybody's going to have their own individual set of circumstances, and codes are usually designed to help kind of help mitigate all the problems you're going to have, but it's not necessarily that specific. So it's something, you know, I guess there's really no cut and dry answer exactly to this question, but yes, you can build next to the shore, on a hill, wherever you want. It's just, there's some circumstances though that have to be considered. So